We are learning more about the couple behind the San Bernardino massacre. They were not on any terror watch lists and had no criminal record.
But authorities have not yet ruled out the shootings as an act of terrorism. Brian Levin is a professor at CSU San Bernardino. He's also an expert on counterterrorism and hate crime. He joins us live now. Brian, are you there? All right, Brian is with us. Brian, I am very interested in your perspective. We understand that you have a lot of knowledge about this, and just wondering what's your feeling on whether these two might have been planning something else, something bigger?
Not that we saw preparation, including some incendiary and/or explosive devices. This suggests to me something a bit more sophisticated than just merely a workplace violence attack. I testified before Congress several weeks ago, and what I led with is we're having a hybridization and a diverse landscape of extremists that go from not only hierarchical organized groups, but also to loners or duos even that attack based on a sculpted set of motivations that can be part personal, part ideological. And we know that groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda want to do this. And indeed, we understand that one of the people is from Pakistan, where ISIS has less of a footprint. It's more of an Al-Qaeda footprint. But I think at this stage, we really have to step back. But the fact that the FBI is taking the lead in this investigation means that terrorism is something that we cannot take off the table. And this is something that we warned about just over a month ago. The biggest threat with regard to terrorism in the United States today is very diverse, but at the top are these Salafist jihadists. And I want to be careful here. We just heard the MPAC Joint Law Enforcement Press Conference. Let's not have a backlash against people of goodwill from the Muslim community who are part of my community and my friends who are also just heartbroken by this as well.
And Brian, looking at these two as a couple, they were together. Are these types of people isolationists? I mean, we know they had family here. Apparently somebody commented yesterday that they had no idea that something like this was going on. They knew that Farouk was religious. These type of folks, I mean, is there something to look out for?
Yeah, you know, and we've seen things before. When we have a duo, oftentimes there's someone who's a lead catalyzer, someone who might manipulate a secondary person. So that's something we look at. The other thing that we look at is what is a motive? And we have three types of main motives in these kind of mass or symbolic attacks. Number one, the ideologically motivated. They're either religious, political, or both. Number two, psychologically dangerous. They're either cognitively impaired or sociopathic. Or number three, personal benefit or revenge. And you can have a hybridization, and that's something we're seeing. A lot of these extremists are unstable either socially or psychologically. And when we have duos, oftentimes there's someone who manipulates someone who's more vulnerable. And we'll see, perhaps, was the female in this someone who manipulated her partner. But it's too soon to tell. We don't even know if this is ideologically linked, but it's something that we're looking at. And again, the involvement of a female is something that we've seen occurring with some greater frequency with respect to extremism, in particular Salafist jihadist extremism.
All right, and Brian, I know that you're an expert. Knowing what you know, is it your gut feeling that there's going to be a link to Al-Qaeda or ISIS?
My gut feeling can be very plausible and can be proven wrong 5 hours from now. But if you were to ask me right now, I think it's premature. But let me say this: the table is tilting that way. But one thing is a third-generation NYPD. You keep all the threads on the table until such time that they can be excluded. And at this time, I think it's quite plausible that these suspicions be included, but we shouldn't jump to any conclusions. What we're going to see is law enforcement looking at the footprints of these people, both in their networks and also in their virtual presence, as well as statements they might have made to others, and we'll get this wrapped up. I think the fact that the FBI has taken the lead in this tells you a lot, and that is we can't exclude terrorism, but also I want to be careful. We can't have speculation by non-law enforcement this early in an investigation.
And Brian, yesterday law enforcement was saying that there's a possibility we're going to see more and more of these incidents across the U.S. In your experience, do you think that is a possibility?
Absolutely. And I told that to the local press here last month. I testified before Congress on it. It's on the Huffington Post. I put excerpts of it on the Huffington Post. Get prepared for more of this, unfortunately. We have the most sophisticated internet recruiting and training operation with ISIS. We also have Al-Qaeda now in a bit of a contest for recruitment and committing operational attacks. So expect to see more of this, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately is right. I think we're all feeling very unsettled and sad about what we saw yesterday. Professor Brian Levin, thank you so much again.